Welcome back, folks. This is The Only Playbook, the third official episode of our football podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sweetcar. I got Shashot and Shovit alongside me here. It is Friday, TGIF, Friday, September 13th. Really excited for the weekend to be
17th.
here. 17th? What did I say?
13th.
13th, my bad. 17th. Really excited to be here. We have a fun slate of games on Sunday. We have a game that we want to recap that already happened. But first things first, how are we doing on Friday?
We're doing great. This has been a really entertaining week as far as football goes. We got a lot of content for you guys. Just wanted to quickly shout out to you guys for giving us some love out here on social media. Continue to do that. We have a Twitter account, TikTok account. What else we got? We got
Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram.
So yeah, if you guys want to if you guys want to give us some love, give us some, ask us some questions, feel free to do that.
DMs.
Ooh.
If you want to take pictures and get us some headshots, we'll create a LinkedIn. Like, we don't have a problem going professional.
Yeah, those DMs though. All right.
But yeah, honestly, we literally have opened up just about every social media platform that you can have. So we're The Only Playbook, and in every social media except for Twitter, it's Only Playbook because The Only Playbook was taken. So The Only Playbook everywhere except Twitter, we're Only Playbook. Check us out, guys. We're very interactive. We'd love to engage with people who are wanting to engage in football-related conversations. So again, third episode here. We're so excited. First thing we want to do is let's recap our Thursday night football game of the week.
Let's do it.
I think I had personally prepared for this game to be a dud just based on the matchup, and shit, I was wrong. Like, I could not have been more wrong.
Thursday night football is coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, back-to-back great games. I mean, what more could you ask for as a football fan?
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy to think about. We were going into this with Redskins having a great defense, Giants showing really nothing in terms of offense week one, and what were we going to get? And it was just going to be a low-scoring game. But back and forth, high scoring, kept us on the edge of our seats. And again, a lot to talk about. What do we want to dive into first, Shashot?
Well, let's talk about who won this game, who lost this game.
Definitely need those.
Yeah. So Giants lost this game. It was in their hands. How do you lose? Like, a lot of these games are happening this way this year, where you just have the game in front of you, like Cowboys last week, Giants this week. Maybe it's an NFC East thing. I don't know. But, so Washington played great. I loved Heineke, coming out of Minnesota Vikings closet. And out here starting for the Washington football team and looking like a starter.
Yeah, he made a ton of plays, right? More plays than I think people who don't know the name Taylor Heineke, which is a lot of people in football.
Yeah.
We only know him because of the Vikings, but people who don't know him were probably very surprised at his play. Shovit, as somebody who maybe hadn't seen a lot of him, what did you think?
He didn't look like someone that didn't play last year.
Yeah.
He took a whole year off and was going through the progressions, looking for the best passes and delivering and throwing great touchdowns.
Have you seen his workout videos?
I have not.
Dude.
Is he ripped?
Yeah, we're going to have to watch that at some point. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's after hours podcasting.
Woo.
But yeah, he looked really, really good. Used his legs, right? Used his feet, evaded pressure. There was pressure on him throughout the night. Made a lot of really daring throws.
Mm-hmm.
Throws you don't expect somebody who's getting the opportunity to start to make, because they're always worried they're going to make mistakes. And he played absolutely fearless.
Yeah.
What was the word you used to describe him last
Tenacious.
week? Tenacious. Could not have been more tenacious in how he played.
Yeah. So number one reason for his success, I felt like while watching that game, was he just looked at his first read or second read and launched it. There was really no setback. Part of the reason why, Antonio Gibson was not loved in the passing game was because he was like their fifth read. There was no plays designed for Antonio Gibson to catch the ball. Mm-hmm. So looking at that, I'm a little worried if I'm an Antonio Gibson owner, because I had the intentions of him being like a CMC kind of a player, just all in on running back. He's a wide receiver playing running back,
Yep.
So we did not get any of that. The coaches were like, yeah, you're not catching any passes. I know you're a wide receiver, but we're not going to give you.
Right.
Like, what was that all about?
I mean, just in the goal line, right? It's 3rd and 1. You think that Gibson's going to be in the game, and he's not. It's McKissick, and McKissick scores that touchdown. It was an audible that they called, and McKissick ran it in.
Ballsy. No timeouts left. I think, like you said, 3rd down. So imagine he gets stuffed there, then they got to run back into the line and figure out a play. But clearly Heineke saw something. Looks like they audibled. Again, something you don't expect from somebody like that.
Yeah.
And called literally the perfect play. McKissick, the benefactor of that, runs it in. He had a great game, right? Catching a lot of passes, 5 catches, 83 yards.
He made the most of his targets.
Absolutely. Heineke, 34 of 46, 336, a touchdown or 2 touchdowns. He did throw 1 interception. Doesn't really matter. Afterthought there. Like we talked about, Gibson, 13 carries, 69 yards. McKissick gets the 1 rushing touchdown. And my boy, Scary Terry McDaddy, finally shows up after that dud week 1, where I was a little worried knowing that there was a new quarterback at the helm. Were they going to run a lot of checkdowns? Were they going to run the ball a lot? But holy crap, early and often, Scary Terry. Later on, Scary Terry. I mean,
not surprised there. Not surprised there. You know, you have a unproven quarterback per se. Those guys tend to love their number 1 wide receivers, and we all know McLaurin's hands are made of glue. If you saw the catch last week, did you guys see the level of difficulty on that catch?
Yep.
Yeah, I may have made a couple of those plays in fantasy flag football back in the day, but yeah, you know, the argument always comes about McLaurin. You know, like at least amongst my friend groups, there's a lot of DK versus McLaurin talks, and I'm pretty sure that conversation needs to end as far as catching ability goes. Trust, volume, all of that is in McLaurin's favor. The only thing in DK's favor is size and speed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think over to the Giants, who obviously dropped the game and now are 0-2 to start. Interesting, right? Daniel Jones, again, he's not proven to be a very good quarterback thus far. His numbers over the course of his career are exponentially better against Washington for some reason. He just tends to play well against them. And one big reason I think that the Giants stuck around this game and obviously almost won and should have won is his read options.
Yeah.
Keeping those read options every single time he kept it, there was nobody in front of him.
Yeah.
He's
fast. The dude's fast.
Do you know how fast he is? So last year, he was the fastest quarterback. He ran a top speed. He reached the top speed.
I know how that play ended too.
21.23 miles per hour. How did that play end?
He fell on his face.
Faster than Lamar Jackson?
Faster than Lamar Jackson.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, he is very sneaky fast. I mean, once he got to that second level, he was outrunning corners and safeties. So it was really incredible, and I think that really put a wrench in the Washington football team's defensive game plan. And I mean, again, I think that's really the primary reason they were able to stick around. I think he made a lot of throws, right? Sterling Shepard looked every bit the part we thought he looked in week 1.
He was the pickup of not of the week, but he was one of the pickups of the week last week.
And so if you picked him up, you were a benefactor, right? 9 catches, 94 yards.
Well, watching that game, Heineke was throwing to McLaurin every single. Like it seemed like every
his first read. He was not looking past his second read. It was just Heineke to McLaurin.
Right, and then on the other side, Jones to Shepard, it was kind of like a back and forth of who's gonna McLaurin versus Shepard, and it was amazing to watch the offense.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley, obviously his second start back from what was his ACL tear.
Yeah.
He had one big run, I think, in like the first quarter or second
towards
quarter.
Towards the right sideline.
Where you're like, man, is he back? 30-yard run. Like, is he finally kind of getting his legs under him? But never really got established beyond that. I don't know. Personally, I definitely think he looks like a guy that just came off an ACL surgery.
Yeah, he does. Here's my medical specialist impression of this situation.
Give it to us.
So I think he's running at 82% battery right now. You know, he's not anywhere close to 90%. He should not be launched with full confidence up until this week. We'll see what happens next week, but this was expected. This was no surprise. And another thing, his most important thing was he cannot plant with his ginormous quads on his right side as he used to. So all of his runs that he feels comfortable are running to the right. If you just keep that in mind for the rest of the season, he made little to no effort to go towards the left side. So he still feels, unstable or whatever the word you want to use. He's not comfortable planting hard with his right leg and going towards the left. Almost all of the runs are designed for him to go right, or if it was designed to go up the middle, he changed it to go to the right.
And that's primarily Saquon's game is, right? Like using those quads and planting hard and cutting quickly. Right. And when he can't do that, there were a lot of times where I thought there were holes there, or he could have hit a hole harder and made one cut, but he saw two defenders in front of him or 2 linemen in front of him, and immediately he just kind of panicked and went down. And so
very unlike Saquon to do those things.
Uncharacteristic.
Another thing about these planting things, when we talked about the speed of Daniel Jones, he looks like he does not know how to plant his feet, but yet he runs so fast. If you look at him run, it looks like he's floating. It's like a gazelle, honestly, because there's no pressure put on the ground. He doesn't use his quads to engage with the ground to put more pressure. He just floating forward. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, Darius Slayton caught the 1 touchdown pass from Daniel Jones. He also had a drop, a wide open.
I promise you, if you throw me that pass 10 times, I'll catch it at least 7 times.
Yeah.
At least.
I mean, NFL receiver wide open, very, very important time in the game, and you just drop
I
it in.
think the game is won if he makes
Yeah.
that catch.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah, that was
grab it.
that's just piss poor play.
Yeah.
Like
Chain of events, obviously, what that touchdown could mean momentum-wise, how it could
Right.
shift the game.
Oh yeah, because like right afterwards, that's when you had all the penalties by the Giants. You had the false start. I think there was another play that got called back, and that just kicked them out of field goal range. And,
Yep. Yeah. And again, it was literally a back and forth affair. I do want to highlight this just because I played against him, and it's worth mentioning. Graham Gano, 5 of 5 field goals made. Made
Wow.
2 50-yarders, made 1 40-yarder, made 2
Man.
30-yarders. He's got 35 straight field goals that he made so far this year. He had 22 fantasy points, guys.
early season MVP favorite.
22 fantasy points. I was over there with Terry McLaurin on the other side, super excited, but basically Graham Gano canceled that out, so that sucks. But, I mean, again, shout out to Graham Gano. I don't know why the Panthers ever got rid of him. He seems like a very, very trusted leg.
Yeah.
Kicks from distance, accurate, 35 straight. That's really impressive. So
One last thing before we close this game out. So I think the main fantasy things you can get out of this game is the Antonio Gibson situation. Everything else, kind of makes sense here and there, but the Gibson thing you need to keep an eye out for. No pass plays designed for Gibson is a issue, and not using him in goal line situation, putting McKissick on 3rd and goal, that's an issue. His average draft position was early or late first, early second. He scored 10.3 fantasy points the first game, 8.3 fantasy points the second game. These are not numbers you expect for players like this. So that being said, a lot of people still believe in him. I believe in him too, but I have my expectations very, very low until we see otherwise.
yeah, and also worth noting, early season dud. Washington football team defense.
Yeah.
Not what we expected them to be. 2 straight games where it looks like there's a lot of holes in that
Mm-hmm.
defense. When that pressure is not being generated, it seems like guys can get open. So something worth watching because, again, we did expect that defense to be top 5.
Yeah.
Let's move right along. Again, amazing game. It gets us super excited about the big slate of games Sunday and the game on Monday, knowing that we started off with a bang. Let's move into the first segment, my favorite segment, the buy stock, sell stock. I give you 2 guys that I'm buying this week. I'll give you 2 guys that I'm selling this week. I'll give you why. First, let's go ahead with my first buy of the week. I am buying Chargers tight end Jared Cook. Jared Cook, newly acquired by the Chargers this year. Hunter Henry is gone, so it looks like he is their primary starter with the tight end position. He had 8 targets week 1, 5 catches. He was 3rd on the team in targets, 4th in routes ran. He is facing Dallas this week, who was middle of the pack last year with defending the tight ends, but we saw that, I know, again, it's a bad team to compare, but Tampa Bay was showing some gaping holes in the middle of that field, right? And so that's kind of right around where Jared Cook likes to operate, and Herbert likes to throw the ball downfield. So I expect the middle of that field to stay open. I do think Jared Cook's going to have a really good week. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have a good reasoning to start Jared Cook as well. So Dallas's linebackers,
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Smith, what are you doing, bro? I don't think you know what you're doing on the field, unfortunately. And Parsons, rookie, he's doing pretty well, but they're not, I think he's getting I don't know what percentage of the snaps he's getting, but he's not getting starting level amount of snaps. So that being said, a tight end would destroy this middle of the field. So for that reason as well, Jared Cook going against the Dallas defense, I'm all in.
Yeah, Gronk had 2 touchdowns against them week 1. Looks like, again, the middle of the field is there. If they get in the red zone, Cook's a big target. So I do like Jared Cook a lot. I am buying on Jared Cook. Next, let's move on to my first sell. This week, I am selling the Minnesota Vikings quarterback, our boy, Kirk Cousins. I think he has a really tough matchup. He's going to be at Arizona. A couple things to note. One, our offensive line didn't look that great again, right? That's been a key hole and a weakness of ours. And week 1, they didn't look as good as we expected them to do against a Bengals defensive line that isn't supposed to be intimidating, to say the least. And now they're going up against Chandler Jones, 5 sacks week 1. J.J. Watt on the other side of that. I have no idea how we're going to protect that.
Yeah. I'm just not going to watch this game.
Yeah. Honestly, I really
kidding.
worry that this game could get out of hand. And Arizona did force Ryan Tannehill into 3 turnovers with an offense that we thought was stable, had a great line.
Yeah.
So just comparing what the Titans look like on the offensive side to us, knowing that Jones had 5 sacks week 1, I honestly don't know what we're going to do to stop him. I don't think Kirk will get a lot of time. If this game gets out of hand early, I mean, I don't know. Look for the backup to come in and get some reps even.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of concern for me as a Viking fan. So if people are super excited about his 300-plus yards, 2 touchdowns week 1, and look to start in week 2, taper those expectations. I do not think he's a good...
The thing is, like, he probably won't be started by many people unless you're in a 2-quarterback league.
Right.
So that's good because you shouldn't be starting him this game. There's just absolutely no reason to start him. So
prove me wrong, Kirk. I will absolutely love it as a fan to prove me wrong. But again, the atmosphere is against you because, again, that line against our line, I just, again, it's David versus Goliath, it seems like on paper.
Yeah.
So I am selling on Kirk Cousins. Let's move on to my second buy of the week. I am buying on Lions running back Jamal Williams. He is facing his former team, the Green Bay Packers. I am a firm believer in revenge games. I think it always adds an added element to it. Yeah, it can't be quantified by stats, but it doesn't matter. I'm a firm believer. I thought Darnold was going to have a revenge game week 1. He proved it, came out on top. So I am running with that train with Jamal Williams. A couple of other reasons. Packers defense didn't look great, right? Surrenders 38 points to the Saints. I know their offense is formidable, but you have to remember if the Packers do play like the Packers against Detroit, they're going to go up early. Yeah, they should be ahead a lot. The Lions are going to be behind. They're going to be running. I mean, they're going to be throwing, and we talked about this last episode. Who were the Lions receivers again?
So Jamal Williams and Swift.
Exactly.
And Hawkinson.
And Hawkinson, right? So tight end and 2 running backs. Yeah. And Jamal Williams is a backup running back technically on that depth chart. People probably have him not necessarily knowing whether to start him just because of carries-wise, but if you have him in a PPR league or a half-point PPR league, I still think he's a viable starter this week. I think he'll see a fair share of targets, and he's usually good with catching those targets and doing good stuff after catch after the pass. So I am buying Jamal Williams this week. Revenge game against the Packers. I think he has a good week. Next, my final sell of the week. That's right, folks. I am selling Rob Gronkowski, the tight end for the Tampa Bay Bucks. I know Rob Gronkowski is a household name, one of the best tight ends of all time, right? 2 touchdown passes or catches in week 1. I don't think anybody expected that week 1 out of him. What we saw end of last year, he was a shell of himself. Week 1, a benefactor of 2 touchdowns in the red zone. I just think there's too many mouths to feed in that game. Like we said, one guy is always going to be the odd man out when you have so many mouths to feed. Week 1, it was Evans. Just volume-wise, I don't think Gronkowski is going to get what he needs to be a solid fantasy starter. And add to the fact that they're playing the Falcons, there can be multiple ways the Falcons give up this game, right? Interceptions, pick sixes. Yeah. Anyways, this game could get out of hand really, really early and really quickly. So I just don't think Tom Brady and the offense will even need to do much or worry about doing much, and it could be a very lackadaisical kind of roll into a victory. I don't know what you guys think there.
Yeah, I recently saw an interview with Tom Brady and Gronk this morning, actually, and they were just asking each other questions, doing bro stuff. You know how that is.
Bros be bros.
Yep. And there was a question, something along the lines of, is Gronk, is this the end, or something along the lines
is he washed?
Of that. Yeah. And Tom Brady was like, this is the best Gronk I've ever seen.
Wow. Yikes.
Yeah. And they're like, they're friends. Yeah. He's going to look for him. Yeah. The only problem is here, the only reason I don't have any stock, I love Tampa Bay's receivers. They're all great, but I don't want any of them on my team unless they come with a good value. And Evans, Godwin, they're all projected pretty high as far as the draft stock goes. So I went for the low draft stock player, and that was Antonio Brown. So that's the thing with these guys. It's like you just throw a dart, and one day one guy has a good game, one day one guy doesn't. And the only thing you can kind of predict is that Tom Brady likes to spread the ball.
Yep.
Tom Brady's known to just feed everybody.
Yeah.
He doesn't just target anybody, just one receiver.
Yep.
So that's Gronk would be a good sell for this week.
Perfect. Yeah, I definitely think so as well. I could be completely wrong. Brady and Gronk could have 5 touchdowns this week, but if I'm a betting man, which I am selling Rob Gronkowski, and that is going to be this week's buy stock, sell stock, folks. Let's move right along. Shishot, you have a plethora of injuries. We had so many guys go down, so many implications for week 2 here. Yeah. Give us a rundown. What do we got?
Okay, yeah. I don't want to bore you guys too much, so we're going to zoom through this. There's a lot. One thing we mentioned last week was Fitzpatrick's injury. We were wondering if he's going to get surgery or not. Looks like he's not willing to get surgery. So he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. So he might be back, but I think his job is gone if Heineke keeps playing like this. Next on the report, we have the dual running backs from the Lions, like you mentioned earlier. Swift is on the injury report for his same groin injury that's been bothering him this whole time. It's really tough to run with a groin injury. But, it's clearly not that big of an issue because he's getting a full, he's getting a workhorse load. So And Jamal Williams, he comes up with a chest injury. I mentioned to you guys how much I hate these vague
chest
knee injury. What is wrong with him? Do you have like costochondritis? Did you puncture a lung? Like, what is your chest injury?
Are your pecs too big for your pads? Like,
maybe,
what is it, man?
Maybe. But so he'll be fine. He was limited in practice a little bit, but he'll be fine. Those running backs, I have no concerns. Next up, Cowboys defense. The poor defense just lost their best player. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's out minimum of 6 to 8 weeks with a broken foot.
Gosh.
So, God bless the Cowboys. We'll see what happens there. Ronnie Stanley, he's not a skill position player, but this is Baltimore's blind side, who is arguably the most important player on the field because this guy protects Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson can't do Lamar Jackson things without having his blind side protected. He's out with his ankle injury. And also on that note, Baker Mayfield's blind side is also out as well. Jadarick Willis. So now their backup was supposed to play, but he's out as well. So now a rookie is going to be starting protecting Baker Mayfield. So keep an eye out for that. Whoever's pressuring him is going to have a good day. Josh Jacobs is officially out. So, look into your options there. Miles Sanders, full go on Thursday. He came up on the injury report, but does not seem to be bothering him. He had an ankle issue. He will be a full go. Kendricks and Barr, Vikings defense. A lot of these professionals out here are choosing Vikings defense on their daily fantasy picks. I don't know why. I need to have a word with all of those professionals. But Kendricks is now on the injury report. Barr's out. Kendricks questionable. I don't know how we're going to stop this team. I was already worried, but now we're even more screwed. So God bless the Vikings as well as the Cowboys.
That's our middle linebacker and outside linebacker. For those who don't know, Kendricks is consistently top 3 in the league in tackles. Mm-hmm. He's literally the play caller for the defense, and so very, very important injury.
Yes. Jerry Jeudy, we mentioned last week. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. It's not a broken anything. It's just a high ankle sprain, it's not just a high ankle sprain, but at least we have a time frame. OBJ, I don't know when he's going to come back. Maybe next week, maybe not. He's always running routes before the game, and he looks fine. But I think it's just precautionary. They're just holding him off because they know they can win games without him. So when they really need him, they'll bring him in. Marquise Brown, he missed 2 straight days of practice. So that's a little worrying because the Ravens are already kind of thin on receiver. And I'm sure Lamar Jackson would like to have him there. So we'll just keep an eye out for that as well. He has not practiced yet. Jamison Crowder, limited in practice, but he is back. So the Jets now have Corey Davis, who I looked up. His numbers are very, very similar to the Falcons wide receiver.
Calvin
Ridley. Surprisingly, right? He has don't quote me on this, but it's they have similar amount of 100-yard games last year. So you don't hear a name like Corey Davis turning heads, but maybe it should. And tight ends. Let's just finish this off with tight ends. So Jonnu Smith was limited Thursday with his hip. We don't know what exactly it is, but I hope it's just a little bruise. Zach Ertz is limited for the Eagles. Ebron did not practice. So what time is it, Shovit?
It's Freiermuth time.
Ooh, tell us more about this person.
Time for baby Gronk.
Damn.
Man, I love Freiermuth this year. He has never dropped a touchdown in the red zone in all 4 of his collegiate career.
Damn.
So
wow.
This
Cool.
guy could be something for the Steelers. So
what is he good at? What does he do? Just jump really high? Was he big?
Hands. Man's got hands.
Hands.
Yeah.
Hands will make him dance.
So DK Metcalf, if you're listening to this podcast, maybe hit up Freiermuth.
Hands will make him dance. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Could he become a viable fantasy pickup option?
I think so.
Right now, I think he is in 2.3% of leagues
Ooh,
in ESPN.
wow.
So he's available. If Ebron is out, you definitely want to go and grab him. There's a lot of mouths to feed in that Steelers offense, but if Freiermuth can be that red zone reliable guy, then sky's the limit.
Nice. I'm excited for this man.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how that plays out. And that is what we have for our injury report here. Thank you, Shishot.
Mm-hmm.
Again, keep an eye out for that. Again, this is going to be dropped Friday night, early Saturday morning. So you'll still have plenty of time to make adjustments and changes if any of these impact your lineup. Let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, guys. We're going to go into every single game that is happening on Sunday and Monday. We'll do a quick preview, important things to consider. Again, just a general rundown, give you guys all the important stuff that you'll need to know to be successful on Sunday. First game we have on the board here, the New England Patriots are visiting the New York Jets. Divisional matchup, both teams lost week 1, so I'm sure one team is looking to get on the board. forward. I know one team we were impressed with week one team still a ton of question marks. Both rookie quarterbacks. That is probably the intriguing matchup and kind of what we want to talk about. Whoever wants to kick us off, go for it. Run with it.
Yeah, Patriots versus Jets. The line is at 3.5 for the favored Patriots. I think that should be easily covered by the Patriots. I know you guys might think otherwise, but
I'm on board.
Yeah, that Jets offensive lineman doesn't look very good that they can protect Zach Wilson. So I think that the Patriots should have that covered fairly easily, even though it is a divisional matchup.
Here's some stats that don't really, there's no like logical reason to look into this, but it's here. So the Jets have lost 10 straight games in September, going far back as however many 10 games is. And they allowed the highest passer rating last year. So, having a rookie quarterback, this is like the best game to play because like you're going against a team that just allows people to do well. And Pats also have the most wins in September since Bill Belichick became coach, number 1 in the NFL. So all things point towards a big New England day. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Mac Jones should get a ton of time to throw, and what we saw from him week 1 against a better Dolphins defense than the Jets defense, I think he should easily be able to replicate that, and I think that should lead to a victory. Again, don't count out the fact that Zach Wilson does have the X factor of making stuff happen with his legs and break broken plays, so that always gives you an added element that you can't just necessarily quantify in the numbers. But 3.5, I mean, again, I could see divisional matchup. I do like the Patriots to win. I would probably take the line if it was 2.5, just because a field goal victory seems logical. Yeah. Right outside that field goal, it's that little trap area that worries me. But there's no reason on paper that the Patriots should not win this game by at least a touchdown. Again, I expect Mac Jones to have a good day. Zach Wilson's still going through progressions, still figuring out the offense. I don't know what we're going to see out of him, but it's still exciting to watch nonetheless. Two guys who, again, came up both drafted within the top 15 picks, and so it'll see kind of who has the last laugh after week one.
Yeah. Also, outside of the quarterbacks, there's some players we need to keep an eye out for because it is week 2. Week 3 is when I usually make my drastic decisions like trades and all that stuff because I feel like you need 3 weeks of data to at least make like a objective decision because a lot of people are already losing their minds after week 1, and that's just not how you do it. So there's some players, Jacoby Myers, who's Cameron Newton really liked him. So he's still around, but, there's also Aguilar now, and I think rookie quarterback really likes Aguilar. So we'll see who takes the number 1 wide receiver situation there. Also, the running back situation, we don't know who the backup truly is for New England just yet. And this is good to know because Harris, if he were to go down, you need to have this man stashed because this is the way Bill Belichick likes to run his offense this year.
This is the way.
This is the way. And, and then Crowder comes back. So, rookie wide receivers are going to have to work a little bit harder to get the starting job because Corey Davis and Crowder, even though they're not very, big names, those are really, really good players. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Both guys should have weapons to work with, so it'll be interesting to see kind of who pulls away. So it looks like we're consensus. We all think Patriots win this one?
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Next, moving right along, let's go to the Denver Broncos. 1-0, Teddy Bridgewater under the helm. They are going to visit the Jacksonville Jaguars. Another rookie quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, had a up-and-down day last week. Put up some points. Did not end up putting up a victory, though. So Denver's 1-0. Jags are 0-1. What do we want to see here out of this Denver defense? I think they're projected to be relatively good, top 10. Jaguars team that has a lot of question marks. Again, new system, new quarterback, new coach, all of the above. What's to like and what's not to like here?
I have nothing to not like about Denver versus Jacksonville as far as Denver's defense. Jacksonville might get some garbage points towards the end. So you already know which way I'm leaning for this game. And as far as winning and losing, Jacksonville's allowed 24 points in 16 straight games, which is at least 24 points in 16 straight games. It's the longest streak in NFL history. So I don't see that changing this week. Teddy's going to have a pretty good day. Mm-hmm. We'll also get to see which running back Denver prefers after that Melvin Gordon 70-plus yard run. Pretty sure they're going to keep pounding the rookie, but Melvin Gordon's always a viable option to worry about.
Yeah, I really like Melvin Gordon this week, right? Jags defense, not great. Melvin Gordon busted a big run last week. He looks fresh. Legs look healthy. Yeah. He still looks really fast.
Yeah, he's always been good. I don't know. He just keeps losing his job for some reason.
Yeah, I think Bridgewater's just going to continue doing what he did in week 1. Judy's out, but he's got help from Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, and I think Sutton is going to be able to provide that support that Bridgewater needs. And Jacksonville just won't be able to hold off that power.
Especially if they're not using their rookie or last year's rookie sensation Robinson. You know, you guys know that he had less carries than Carlos Hyde.
Yep.
Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a coaching thing. I think it had a lot to do with Hyde being a better pass protector, and they were behind the whole game. But it would be really nice to see Robinson come back out on top after this game.
Yeah, Robinson showed a ton of promise last year in his rookie season. Hyde's been, wherever he goes, it seems like he can produce, but he's a journeyman at best right now, so there's no reason Robinson should not get the opportunity in the bulk of the carries.
Yeah.
So interesting to see there. What's the line on this one, you said?
It is the Broncos vs. Jags is 2.5. So
Favor the Broncos? I like that. I mean, man, inside a field goal when you're picking a team to win, you always take that, right?
Yeah.
Games being decided by 2 and 1 points definitely do happen, but less frequently in the NFL just because of the field goal kick. Now that extra points can be missed, again, I have definitely been on the short end of the stick of 2-point games and 1-point games. But when you get a line inside 2.5 or inside 3 in a field goal game with the team that's on paper way superior, I like that. I take Denver minus 2.5 all day.
And losing Judy, I don't think that really is going to affect Denver really at all. So it's Sutton's time to shine. He was a very good receiver a couple of years ago, and he was out with injuries. He was very good a couple of years ago. So people that have him, if you're having trouble in the flex position or whatnot, don't be shy throwing him in there just to see what happens. This is the time. If there's ever a time, this is the time. And also, this is also the time to see which Jacksonville wide receiver will come out on top, because Denver's secondary is probably the best secondary in football. So we'll see if they like to use Chenault on those, crossings, drag routes, if they're going to prefer that, or they're going to extend the field with Chark. So we'll see which one they prefer.
Yeah, the only other thing is Jags are at home. I don't know how much that would make a difference.
I don't think Jacksonville has much of a home field advantage, but yeah, you never know. You never know.
Shout out to Miriam, though, biggest Jacksonville fan I know.
Yeah.
God bless her.
Only one I know now, so good for you, Miriam. Moving right along, we have the Buffalo Bills, Bills Mafia, traveling to Miami to visit the Miami Dolphins.
I got to shout out Christy now because she's a Buffalo fan.
Shout out Christy. Buffalo starts the season 0-1, dropped to the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, and Miami is 1-0. They did beat the Patriots 17-16 last week. Miami at home. Buffalo definitely doesn't want to fall 0-2 to start the season, I would imagine. Playing another formidable defense, although I think the Steelers are a little bit of a notch above the Dolphins. Josh Allen probably has a lot to prove after a subpar week 1. That offense didn't really give a lot to like, right? None of the receivers really did much, and Singletary, I think, only had like 70 yards. So what kind of bounce back are we expecting from the Bills, and how does Miami hold that off and come out on top here?
So,
Go ahead.
Josh Allen against non-playoff teams since last year, 9-0. Okay, 18 touchdowns, 3 picks, 111.9 passer rating. Josh Allen against playoff teams, 1-3, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks, 77.5 passer rating.
Interesting.
So do we have a hole in Josh Allen's game? It's kind of evident here. He's just doing really well against shitty teams. So we'll have to see what Josh Allen can do to prove us wrong here, because statistically, stats are not in his favor, especially after that last game against the Steelers. What were you doing? Were you throwing grounders to the shortstop? What were you doing, Josh Allen? So prove us wrong here, buddy.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very deciding factor on Josh Allen needs to come back strong in this game for them to win. They do have a really good defense.
They do.
Last week, that loss was due to a punt block, special teams and so,
wow, that's big of you to admit that.
And the offense, Steelers' offense is as good as they are. If we don't get that punt block, I mean, it's going to be a closer game than it was.
True.
Right.
So I think that they're going to bounce back. However, the Dolphins also good too. Looked good last week.
Yeah.
So it's I'm not sure which way to lean on the Bills versus
Yeah, I
Dolphins.
feel like this is a trap game.
What's the line?
The line is 2.5 points favoring the Bills.
Look at these close games.
Man, again, they're expecting a lot of close games, and it just gets me really into this trap mindset, because you don't usually see lines inside of those numbers that most people will bet, right?
Yeah.
Like a field goal win is very, very capable.
Mm-hmm.
But the Dolphins at home are tough. Again, I don't know I don't know that I feel comfortable with the minus
No,
2.5 for
I
the
don't
Bills,
either.
to be
Not
honest.
this game. Not this game.
I think week one raised a lot of question marks, so I think we need to still see a little bit more from them to be confident in their offense. They definitely have the weapons, right? Diggs, Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders, all those guys, but don't sleep on the Dolphins.
Yeah, don't, because this is Tua's time to prove himself. He's been overshadowed with all these other quarterbacks in his draft. You know, people just, I don't like Tua to be on my team because of, he's just erratic. It's just like, you know, he doesn't have like a pattern to his play, which might be in his favor, because if he beats Josh Allen, if he beats the Bills today and the Bills go 0-2 because of Tua's going to be on ESPN, top of the line, talking about how good he is after they've like underplayed him throughout his career so far.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that this would be a big victory under his belt if he's able to come out on top.
Yeah.
Bills, again, don't want to start out 0-2. Both teams uber motivated. I'm sure everybody in the NFL is motivated. So, but anyways, it should be a good matchup. Excited to watch that one. Let's head to Philadelphia. The Eagles 1-0, formidable fly Eagles fly, high-powered offense there week one. They are going to host the San Francisco 49ers, and this is going to be, folks, our marquee matchup. The marquee matchup of the week is the one game that the three of us all highlight, saying, hey, this is a game that we want to pay extra attention to. Obviously, we're going to give you reasons why. Both teams are 1-0. Both teams coming off a victory, riding high. San Francisco does have to travel. West Coast team coming all the way to the East Coast. I know there's a lot of factors involved in that. But Eagles offense looked great week one, right?
Yeah.
49ers did a lot early and then kind of was close to giving the game away against the Lions. Is there a concern that Niners defense isn't as good as advertised and Philadelphia can take advantage of that? Or do we think that this is going to be a close game?
So, you know, if they were playing anybody else besides Philadelphia, I feel like it would be pretty consistent on the defense. But they have this man with the name of Jalen Hurts, and he's the only player since 1950 with 1,000 passing yards and 300 rush yards in the first 5 starts. So this man's already out here doing things nobody has done before. And he likes to play all over the field. He runs a lot. He throws bombs. He actually led week one with the most screen passes. He threw 7 screen passes, which went for 85 yards and a touchdown and a perfect passer rating. So this man knows how to play football. He knows how to spread the ball. So this is why the defense is less of a concern than, let's say, like a pocket quarterback like Tom Brady or Kirk Cousins, because they will not be able to avoid this type of defense. But Hurts, moving out of the pocket, running, throwing screen passes, literally doing everything possible and doing it well, gives Philadelphia this slight edge. And they have 2 rookie wide receivers that are here to play. Those are both great receivers.
Yep.
So I am very much invested in this Philadelphia offense.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup for me. I'm going to watch Devontae Smith to see if he can have a repeat of what he did last week.
Yeah.
8 targets and a touchdown, I think. With 6
Yeah,
catches.
he did have a touchdown. Yep.
Yeah, and so they're going to have Diomodor Lenore on him, who is also a rookie. And so he was targeted only 3 times, when he was playing on defense. So
Okay.
we'll see how that goes.
Which receiver do you guys think will have a better week this week?
I think
It's tough. Again, their stat line was so similar week one, and it looks like he spread the ball so perfectly between them.
Yeah, it's
but
pretty dead even.
I think personally Rieger has more like over the top speed to throw bombs than Devontae Smith, even though Devontae Smith is not slow or anything like that. I just think he's catching more like screen passes or passes to get him the ball early so he can utilize his size and kind of maneuver his small size. But I mean, also biased because I was big on Jalen Rieger. I'm just going to lean Rieger.
Yeah, that last touchdown for Devontae Smith.
The back of the end zone?
The back of the end zone looked almost illegal.
Yeah.
That screen pass, there was a slot
it was
receiver.
like a pick play,
Oh,
right?
I see.
Like a pick
That
but
play, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was a little bit disappointed.
They call that a lot, so
Yeah.
it's almost like subjective now with the refs. That pick play is illegal.
Right, but he's getting the targets, and so. But I think that Rieger should be the one that gets more targets this game.
Okay. On the other side of the ball, unless there's anything to touch on with the Eagles.
Yeah, there is actually. There's a little bit more on the Eagles real quick. We don't know the role of Sanders and Gainwell right now. All we know is Bart Scott's not doing anything. So Gainwell is a name you need to keep under wraps. Nothing to go run out for. But Sanders is clearly not doing CMC stuff. That's how I compare all my running backs now. Like, how much of the team are you responsible for? Yeah. And
how CMC are you?
I drafted him number 1 last year and didn't get to play with him.
When you're comparing to other players.
Yeah.
Like, how much of a CMC level do you have or CMC
Yeah.
scale?
What do you mean? I'm confused with the
Like
question.
comparing every running back to Christian McCaffrey, basically.
Who's
is that what
next
you're
up?
saying? Yeah. No, just like that's the benchmark. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
bar.
I thought
That's
you were
what he
asking
meant,
me
yeah.
a specific
Oh,
question.
no.
Oh,
No.
okay. Yeah. It's basically, if you're not CMC, you're nobody. So, because a lot of these running backs, they're not fully skilled in doing everything. So all these teams have to have 3 running backs, 2 running backs, whatnot. There's only one Christian McCaffrey. But that being said, we don't know the role of Sanders and Gainwell. And Gainwell is looking like vulture number 2. He could be the McKissick of this week. We'll see how that goes. So that's what we got as far as the Eagles are considered. And, what's funny is anytime you talk about San Francisco games, first thing you think of usually is Kittle. And because of these injuries, Kittle has not been talked about very much. But here is a slight hope for him to have a extremely well week. He had 15 receptions week 4 last year against the same Philadelphia Eagles, most by a tight end since 1950.
Wow.
Most receptions by a tight end since 1950.
That's insane.
What was the other stat I said? Hurts was the only player since 1950 with 100. So what's happening in 1950? What are they feeding these guys?
I don't know. But that is insane. That's I think you're right. Kittle is the first name that comes to mind. Obviously, because of recent events, there's one big name that I'm sure a lot of people are interested to see how he does. I'm sure most people picked him up, but Elijah Mitchell is going to be starting, as far as we know, for the 49ers, and Mostert is out. Again, he was definitely the marquee pickup from a fantasy waiver perspective. There was no reason not to pick him up, other than the fact that, again, the 49ers have a history of loving to use all of their running backs. Even when one gets hurt and you think the other one's going to take over, they just throw a random one in there and he still produces, right, in this run-heavy offense. So Wilson is expected to come back at some point.
Soon. Very soon.
There's definitely question marks around that, but I'm sure a lot of people this week are going to key in and hone in on Elijah Mitchell and see what he gets them, because he's going to be starting in a lot of leagues.
He was our pickup of the week last week, strictly because of circumstances. So like I was explaining to these guys earlier, I didn't pick him up in any of my leagues, even though I had the opportunity to. And that is because I already have 3 viable running backs that I'm starting. And if this guy was, let's say like a Derrick Henry replacement, I would have picked him up in a flash. But he's not. He's just a replacement while other players are recovering from injuries. And he's a rookie. So there's a lot of things here, and they just drafted another running back. So there's a lot going on here. If you're desperate, if you went Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Devonta Adams early in your drafts, then you probably are weak in your running backs. So it would make sense for you to have picked him up. But for people that went running back heavy early, you can afford to not waste your waiver wire pick on Mitchell, and that's pretty much what I did. So just, it's all circumstantial. Fantasy football has so many factors you have to take into play. And if you really want to win, you really have to get down to the nitty gritty of stuff. And sometimes you have to make decisions that are not, they don't look like good decisions at the moment, but you're playing for the long run.
Yeah, that's a great point. Again, I don't know what to expect there from that receiving core still. I know Deebo Samuel balled out week 1. Is that target share and lion share going to be sustainable? That's another kind of what to watch for, but should be an exciting one. Both teams 1-0, so one team poised to go 2-0, and again, a lot to play for there. The LA Rams are visiting the Indianapolis Colts. Rams came away with a 1-0 victory last week against the Bears. Indianapolis did fall, I believe it was 28-16 against the Seahawks at home, and now Indianapolis is hosting the Rams. It's going to be interesting. Carson Wentz, we talked about last week, the Indianapolis Colts' offense not really throwing the ball deep, right? The running backs had a lot of targets, a lot of catches, and again, they have a formidable run game. The defense was questionable to me last week. I think that's kind of my what to watch for. I expected them to be a little bit more stout. Russell Wilson had bombs open for days, and so what will we see similar for Matty Stafford and Kupp and Woods and those guys, or is the defense going to get a little bit of a shakeup and regress back to what we expect them to be, which is good?
So Stafford had the best passer rating of his life last week.
Wow,
156.1. He's never played better. He just and he didn't really work that hard. He just kind of flung the ball here and there. He didn't have to throw for 60 times like he does with the Lions. So if you're picking one player to be enjoying the season, Stafford is my number 1 pick for as far as who's enjoying the season the most so far. Couple of other things that are important to keep in mind. These teams haven't played each other since 2017, but when the Rams did play the Colts last, the Rams whooped that ass 46-9.
Wow.
So if that, history does repeat itself, but this is a dynamic field. Football just changes, players change, but organizations are pretty similar still. So, if you're really in the middle of picking one or the other, if you want to go with history, the Rams looking like they might win.
Yeah, and with that defense being a question mark, I think the Rams do have a favorable matchup. I know the Colts are going to try to play some running. Just, go hard.
Oh, for sure.
With Jonathan Taylor and their three horsemen.
So
running back
I hope the three horsemen are ready because the Rams allow the sixth fewest points to running backs over the last year.
Wow.
So, obviously they're going to go Taylor heavy, but this will show us if Taylor is really supposed to be a number one back or not. I think as far as fantasy purposes. In real life, yes. But we'll see if he gets enough love from the Colts to be a viable starter as your number one running back every week.
Yeah,
safe to say the Rams are favored by 3 points.
Wow, what else is new? All these 3-point. This is going to be a good week.
Yeah, I mean, in Indianapolis, they're going to put the ball in Carson Wentz's hands, right? If the Rams are going to be good at stopping the run, Carson Wentz is going to have to make plays.
Yeah.
He didn't throw the ball much downfield last week. We talked about that, so I don't think that's going to fly again with this high-powered Rams offense. If they want to keep up, they're going to have to score. 3-point line, again, what the trend I'm seeing is, yes, they're right inside that, but it seems like the road team every time continues to be favored, which is interesting,
yeah,
right?
Very interesting.
Interesting to look at. Usually home field, if you look at lines and spreads, home field usually gives you 3 points. So realistically, what they're saying is on a neutral field, the Rams are favored by 6, essentially, right? So that's an interesting way to look at it. But 3 points, you have a chance for a push. I think the Rams are a better team. I still do think Indianapolis is underrated, and I think they have a lot to prove. But as a betting man, I'm taking the Rams, -3.
One more Rams defense love here. Rams defense has allowed less than 20 points in 9 games since last year. Only Baltimore has allowed 20 points or more.
Or less in more games.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah,
it's a stout
under
defense,
the radar. Yeah,
very stout defense. And if Indianapolis wins this game, people are gonna have to keep an eye out for Indianapolis.
Yeah. Again, the Seattle's a good team. The Rams are a good team. So Indianapolis starting their season with a tough schedule. So I don't think that's a testament to how good that team can be. Again, I still have faith in Indianapolis as well. Anything we missed in that game?
The running back situation, Henderson looking like he's going to get most of the carries. Yeah. I don't know if Sony Michel just can't read or can't learn the playbook or what, but you traded multiple picks for this guy. That's picks. Those are players you're just giving away for this guy that you're not using very much. So I expect Henderson didn't play lights out, but it was a volume situation last week. He got enough points for owners to be happy. But, we'll have to see. This game will really show us if Henderson will get the majority of the carries or if Sony Michel is just illiterate.
Yeah. The Las Vegas Raiders are going to visit your Pittsburgh Steelers this week. Shove it. Both teams 1-0, coming off big wins, right? Big victories for both teams. The Raiders beat the Ravens, I believe, and then the Steelers had beat the Bills. So 2 1-0 teams. Pittsburgh is at home. What's the line? Let's start with the line because I think the line really helps gauge what we're expecting.
It does.
The line for Pittsburgh Steelers is... I have all these.
Yeah, just scroll.
Yes. Wow, I'm really,
Meanwhile, there's a nice little shop down there in Fort Worth called Brow Boutique. They do a great job taking care of your eyebrows, have perfect ratings on Yelp. So if you ever need to clean things up above your eyeballs, go get it taken care of.
Brow Boutique, Fort Worth, Texas.
I have the line.
Don't look like Anthony Davis. Sorry.
I had the line for all the teams, and for some reason, I'm just like the Steelers. They're gonna
win.
You took a biased approach because it was your team. You're like, I don't even need to look at the line. The Steelers are just gonna win.
After what Las Vegas did to the Ravens.
Pro Football Network has it as negative under 5.5.
-5.5. So Pittsburgh is favored by 5.5.
Right.
Okay. So Pittsburgh's at home, favored by 5.5. Line seems a little bit big. I know Steelers at home. Steelers have a great defense. Their offense is capable. It just depends on kind of what Big Ben decides to do. The Raiders really impressed me last week, to be honest, against the Ravens. I know the Ravens have a ton of injuries, and the Raiders have a tendency to do this where, again, Derek Carr gives you the hope or the impression that he can be a top 10 quarterback and that team can be something, and then they just lay a bunch of duds. So you can't figure out what's going to happen. But on paper, I think this will be an exciting matchup. I would actually lean the Raiders plus 5.5 in the matchup if I was betting on this game.
Okay.
In terms of fantasy implications, what's going to be most important here?
There's one name. There's just one name, and it goes by the name of Waller. So we got to see if this guy's real deal, right? Because Kelsey's been taking over things by storm. Kittle, when he's healthy, is up there. But this Waller, man, is he going to be the number one tight end if he keeps getting ball? Can he sustain this volume? So he has more receiving yards, which is like 759 since week 13 of last year than both of the top 2 Steeler wide receivers combined. So, Juju and Deontay being the top 2. And Big Ben historically doesn't do well against the Raiders. He's 2-5 against them. 3rd lowest winning percentage against any opponent for Big Ben. So, that the Raiders covering seems, it's probable. It's probable.
Yeah. So I think the Ravens, they didn't do so well on trying to get to Derek Carr.
Yeah, they did not.
They did not at all. And I think that, the Steelers, that's going to be what they're going for. Get Derek Carr, get them sacks, and
which they can do.
Which they can do. And TJ Watt's there, and he's gonna definitely put some pressure.
Did you hear what Najee Harris said this morning or last night?
What did he say?
So apparently, the tackle that's blocking TJ Watt, he's college teammates with Najee Harris. So instead of saying, "Hey, TJ Watt, here's like how you beat him," he was like, "Hey, TJ Watt, good luck going past that guy."
What? Wow.
So my
to
eyes,
his own teammate.
Yeah. So my eyes are on there now. It's a weird move by Najee, but let's see what happens.
Rookie being rookie.
I think that in the locker room, he probably gives them the stuff that he needs to know to
oh yeah, of course.
It's all fun and games.
Yeah,
I think
but his PR people are not very happy with that one.
I'm sure they're not.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I think because that defense is going to stop Derek Carr. Derek Carr is not as accurate as a quarterback.
He's not.
And
he's not.
Like I said last time, he only came alive in the 4th quarter. That's when he was throwing all those bombs to Brian Edwards. And up until the 3rd and 4th quarter, I mean, he just looked.
Yeah,
he looked terrible.
It was
Yeah. Similar to Big Ben, but that's another story. We'll let you keep your bias aside there, Shove. Big Ben didn't look that great last week either, so there's a ton of question marks.
I do want to help out Big Ben by saying it's the offensive linemen that are ultimately the trash there.
So
yeah,
the other thing is with Big Ben, this is it's an interesting game because he is 3 touchdowns away from getting 400 career touchdowns.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Shared by only 7 other quarterbacks.
That's a lot of quarterbacks.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I'm just kidding. That's not that much.
No, that's awesome. Good for him. He definitely won't get it this week, but it'll be good for him to try for
3 touchdowns?
I don't know. I think we're sleeping on the Raiders. I think we're drinking a lot of Steelers Kool-Aid, and I think Chauvet's bias is kicking in a little bit here.
Oh,
I'm leaning 5.5 Raiders. I think the Raiders make it closer.
Okay, here's.
I would take that bet with you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, we will take that bet.
Is this a board bet? Are we putting this on the board?
Put it on the board. I'm taking the Raiders plus 5.5. He wants the Steelers minus 5.5.
Okay, done deal. Here's another reason why Steelers defense is so stout. Chauvet's just sitting there salivating. Steelers are top 3 in scoring defense and total defense, but they're in bottom 5 in total offense since beginning of last year. So this is all in the defense. This game, basically Steelers wins and losses basically all rely on how well that defense plays, which they play really well. So, they went 11-0 last year, and then something happened. They just exploded. So if the defense plays up to their potential and then the offense just does a little bit, just not suck, they can win a lot of these games.
Yeah. Fantasy relevance, Pittsburgh's offense, pretty much nobody on the team was really relevant week 1, so it'll be interesting to see how Najee Harris bounces back, what receiver really establishes them as a viable fantasy starter, or is it going to be a carousel all year where you don't really know which one to start? And then on the Raiders side, obviously we talked about Waller, right? 19 targets last week. He's a fantasy workhorse. Josh Jacobs, we had mentioned, is out, so Kenyon Drake is expected to start. So Kenyon Drake could be a formidable starter. I don't know. Steelers defense is pretty stout. And Derek Carr had put up some good numbers, so that's another kind of somebody to watch out for fantasy implications. Anybody else fantasy-wise that you guys are watching out for?
So just a quick fun fact about Najee Harris. He played 100% of his snaps last week, which I don't think any other running back did in the NFL. I'm not sure, but...
That's a lot.
Yeah, historically, I mean, I've been watching football for years, and even CMC doesn't run. He doesn't play 100% of his routes. So that was impressive. He was on 100% of his snaps. So that's a good thing.
That automatically makes him a viable fantasy starter, just sheer volume. Whether he's getting the ball or not, and the line has their woes, he's playing every snap.
Volume is the name of the game for running backs.
Yeah. I mean, Tyson Williams had a pretty good day against the Raiders last week.
Yeah.
That offensive line is probably a little bit it's definitely better than the Steelers offensive line. But it's a sign of hope that Najee Harris has a good comeback.
And Kenyon Drake will probably get his first start. Mm-hmm. So we'll keep an eye out for him. John Gruden has in interviews this morning. It's probably just smoke, but he was hyping up Barber, who's saying how well he protects, how well he catches passes. So, but I don't think we need to look into that too much. I think Drake should be getting a bulk of the carries.
Yeah, should be a good matchup. One of the best ones on the board.
Oh, and one more thing. We can't leave this without figuring out this wide receiver situation for the Raiders. After Waller, because we just talked about Waller like he's the only thing that matters, which he is. But Renfro is looking like the unanimous choice after Waller for getting targets. I think he had double past the next guy. And after that, it's pretty much up for grabs every week. Depends on gameplay. Edwards, he's a big guy. They like throwing to him deep. Ruggs, when he can get open, he just needs one catch to score a touchdown. So these last two receivers, I wouldn't put them over Renfro or Waller, but in deeper leagues, they can be taken into consideration.
Yeah. Renfro did establish himself with the targets week 1. It is week 1. We'll see if he can sustain that.
Yeah.
But he does play that vital role from a slot position.
His quarterback also said he's the best player on the team.
Wow.
Not the best receiver. He said he's the best player on the team.
Wow. Let's see if what these guys say in interviews is all smoke or if it actually translates to the field.
Yeah, but we're out here just letting you know that these are being said.
The Cincinnati Bengals 1-0 beat the Vikings last week. They are visiting the Chicago Bears in Soldier Field or at Soldier Field. Bears are 0-1. Bengals are 1-0. I think the Bears really need a win. That division is tough. You got to get your wins where you can. Bengals seemed like a win for the Vikings last week. Didn't end up working that way. So Bengals show a lot of promise on the offensive side. The question for the Bears just becomes, when is Justin Fields going to get on the field?
Yeah.
Till then, are we expecting the Bears to come away with many victories, or what do you guys see in this one?
I think it's happening soon. I don't think they're going to be waiting very long. I don't know what Matt Nagy's thinking. I mean, he's going to get fired if he waits too long. This is bullshit. Like, he should be. Justin Fields is a winner. He will come out there. He'll change the game script for every single defense. Versus Andy Dalton. What are you doing? You're playing against your old team, so maybe this is a revenge game for Andy Dalton. But outside of that, what are they doing? What are they waiting for?
Yeah. I think this is a similar game to the Bengals as the Vikings. I think that, but without the offense that
the Chicago Bears don't have.
That Chicago Bears don't have, right? So, so I think the Bengals should definitely secure the bag on this one. I don't know if the Bears defense would be able to stop Burrow and Chase and the guys they have over there. So I think the Bengals seal the deal. I'm not sure what the line is here, but it is favored 4 points to Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree. I'm actually, if 4 points at home, I feel like Soldier Field's always a tough place to play.
Yeah, it's not an easy place to play.
That always factors in teams playing. That's why you see really, really good teams lay duds in Chicago randomly. Again, yes, the Bengals did beat the Vikings last week, but there was a lot of opportunities for the Vikings to win.
The Vikings beat themselves.
Yeah, exactly. The Vikings had plenty of opportunities to win that game, and I think again with Chicago. As much as we want Fields on the field, Andy Dalton is a proven capable quarterback. The Bengals defense was nothing to write home about, right? And so I still think the Bears can put up points. David Montgomery's a beast, right? He can run all over that. So he's going to get his fair share. Allen Robinson didn't get a ton of love week 1, and I think he's going to show out. The Bengals don't have a great defense on paper, so that's a ton of points to give to a team that is traveling to a tough place to play, and they don't have a great defense. So the recipe on paper, I'm taking Bears.
Okay.
I'm taking Bears with the spread. I don't know that the Bears are going to win the game, but I think they cover that spread.
Okay. I'm not sure who's going to win this game, but I have some fantasy stuff to share with you guys. Joe Burrow has 200-plus pass yards and 0 picks in 4 straight games. That's the highest active streak with throwing for 200-plus yards and no picks, which is very surprising. It's only 4 games, but I guess all these good quarterbacks are starting to throw some picks. Also, Mixon led the league in carries and rushing yards last week. Is that sustainable? Probably not, but it's something to keep an eye out for. Are they going to keep pounding, then let Burrow loose? But it looks like they got a little mix going on with Mixon and Burrow. And also, probably the most interesting information for the day that I will probably be giving you guys. But Montgomery has higher yards per carry than Dalton has yards per pass.
Wow.
Why is Andy Dalton here? Get him out of here.
Get Fields on the field as quickly as possible. Like you said, Fields adds an added dynamic that Dalton doesn't. They know Dalton isn't a long-term solution. I don't know what they're waiting on. It's not like they're expected to be contenders this year. Get Fields the experience. Get him the playing time in a year where they're rebuilding, trying to get back to being relevant rather than sitting him and learning from Andy Dalton. I get the logic on that side. I'm sure there's politics that go into it where the coaches are worried about their job and stuff like that, but Fields needs to be on the field.
Yeah, he does. And we also need to know which receiver to start for the Bengals.
I still don't know if I'm being honest. There's still a lot. One guy, the guy that we expect at least to showed out week 1, right? There's a guy in there that's proven, has a history of proven.
Didn't do shit.
Yep, didn't do shit. And then there's one guy that we expected to be the top receiver coming into that game, and he was so-so, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm
I'm still a coin toss for all 3 of those guys. It's not enough sample size. Is there anything that leads you to believe that one guy should be leaned heavily?
No. I don't think I can easily lean, but I do know if I'm down, if I'm in a situation where I need a lot of points, I'm not starting Tyler Boyd. If I'm in a situation where I need 3 points, I'm starting Tyler Boyd. So this is a situational thing for me, especially if they play in the late games. It makes it really easy to decide because Tyler Boyd has been leading the league, not in the top 10 in the league in targets for many years. So I'm sure as the seasons go on, he'll get his. They won't be touchdowns, but he'll get the yardage and the quick catches you need. Whereas Jamar Chase is more of a stretch the field guy. I think he and Burrow had like 50 plus yard deep bombs in college, which is a lot. So if I'm needing to hit a home run, like I'm gonna go with Chase. If I need some consistent play, it's either Higgins or Boyd. So I think that's the idea here for now, at least until week 2's over.
Yeah. Anything to add there, Shovit?
I hope it's Chase. I've got him in my fantasy league. I hope it's Chase, and I hope that chemistry from college correlates.
Oh, it's begun.
Yeah, right to the NFL. I mean, but yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Again, so it looks like I'm on the Bears line. You're on the Bengals line, right?
I am on the Bengals line.
Okay.
Put it on the board.
Put it on the board. Next, we have the Houston Texans, the projected 4-win Texans, coming off a 1-0. Coming off a victory and putting them at 1-0 to start the season. They're at the Cleveland Browns, the Browns who had a game at their grasp, at their fingertips against one of the best teams in the league and couldn't come away with the victory.
Mm-hmm.
So Browns are back at home. They're hosting the Texans. On paper, without the line, without anything, I think everybody expects the Browns to bounce back and win this game. Yeah. What is the line, real quickly? Do you have the line?
I do have the line. The line.
Whose line is it anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, I got a button for that.
Walk the line.
No, I don't.
I guess I don't have the line.
You don't have the line for that game? Okay. Well, we can pull it up later. But anyways, I think on paper, Cleveland at home, they looked really impressive last week. Did barely lose to the Chiefs, who are one of the best teams in the league. Texans looked decent last week, but they were playing the Jags, right? Rookie quarterback, and it was the Jags. It was one of the games that you thought the Texans would win, and they ended up winning. That was your survivor pick. What do we expect in this game, and how is it going to unfold?
Okay, just some blueprints, like structure-wise, before we dive into the actual player personnel kind of stuff. So the Browns didn't lose a back-to-back game last year, and they just lost last week. And they're playing against probably one of the worst teams in the league. So there's a lot of things pointing towards the Browns winning this game. Here's some other things. Brandon Cooks, probably the only viable, startable option on the Texans. He has 130 yards in each of his 130 plus yards in each of his last 3 games. That's a very small sample size, but before that, he did that only once in 24 starts. So, this is a desperation game for the Texans. That's what all of this is chalking up to. Like, I don't think one person would put money on the Texans to just outright beat the Cleveland Browns in this game. So
I got to believe the Browns are getting a lot of points, maybe double digits.
Yeah. Both running backs probably can get over. Last time they faced each other, both running backs scored over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So I just looked at the line, and it's minus 13.
Yep. So the Browns are favored by 13 points. They would need to win by 2 touchdowns to cover the spread for you guys. Hefty line, especially in the NFL. Usually you don't see lines that big, but I guess the teeter-totter and talent-wise, I mean, it definitely favors the Browns tremendously, right?
Everything
so on
favors
paper,
the Browns.
Every which way you look, offense, defense, special teams, offensive line, receiving core, running backs, quarterback, it all favors the Browns. The Texans are like the biggest question mark in the league, projected to be the worst team in the league. So
this is the biggest line the
Of the
Browns
week?
have had
More than the
Oh.
Packers?
since 1999.
Holy
Wow.
crap.
The highest.
Say
the most they've
that
been
one more
favored by.
time. Say that one more time.
So this is the highest spread
Uh-huh.
that has favored the Browns since 1999.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, since they came back and became a franchise in
Dang.
1999. So that I mean
Wow.
that's insane. That tells you how much poop the Browns were. That's why we
Mhm.
considered them to be poop for the longest
C.
time.
diff.
And they're still yet to prove us otherwise. So I do expect the Browns to come out victorious. I don't know that if they're going to cover that. The Browns have a really good recipe for winning games, which is running the ball really, really well, and they have two guys that can do it really, really well. And so eventually they could wear down that Texans defense, and we could see some really, really big touchdown runs by Chubb or screen catches by Hunt for a long gain. So I could see them covering it. It's just a lot of points to lay down. So personally, I'm staying away.
Yeah, as a bet, this is probably not the safest one to
Yeah.
take. That's 13 points is a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
that's 2 touchdowns, and I don't know. I don't know if they.
Yeah.
There's better bets. There's better
Yeah.
bets
Yeah,
this week.
there's definitely better bets out there. Any other fantasy implications here that we want to touch on?
Nothing. Just OBJ. When are you going to be there, bro? When are you
Yeah.
gonna play
Well,
football?
while OBJ isn't there, Jarvis Landry could be getting could be looked at.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Maybe not this game. Maybe this game. He likes to throw the ball and do
Yeah.
weird stuff too. But there's really no reason for the Cleveland Browns to go high volume on the receivers this game. So he
This
might.
is true.
This might be a Hooper game.
Yeah.
I think I might do a bold prediction here and say Hooper is top 5 tight ends this week. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. I could see the Browns pulling away just with their recipe. But again, as a betting man, I'm going to stay away from that 13-point spread. Browns are going to be at home there, and we'll see what happens. The New Orleans Saints, Jameis Winston, very, very impressive Week 1 show out. They are going to be traveling. They're going to be at the Carolina Panthers, Christian McCaffrey, Sam Darnold, and the bunch who are also 1-0. So 2 1-0 teams facing off. On paper, again, when you just hear the matchup, you probably lean towards the Saints. There is a lot to like about the Panthers as well. Again, any team that has Christian McCaffrey is exciting to watch, and on paper, it seems like they'll have a shot to win any game. But what exactly is going to be the difference here? Is it going to be the Saints and their formidable attack? Is it going to be the Saints' defense and how stout it's been against McCaffrey, forcing Darnold to do things that don't involve McCaffrey? Because we've yet to see that from Sam Darnold. Or how is Sam Darnold going to manage the Saints' defense?
I don't think he can. This is the number 1 defense in the league, and I don't think this is just a sample size of 1 week. New Orleans just embarrassed Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
That is the worst game Aaron Rodgers has ever played, and there could be a lot of factors playing into that, not practicing enough and all that good stuff. But I don't think New Orleans is their defense is not a joke. I think they're going to be up there, top 5 defenses. It's early to make predictions like this, but what I saw, the eye test, it's very telling sometimes, and they proved themselves. Also, the Panthers are, as of now, again, early in the year, 1 game of sample size. It's not enough to make drastic decisions. But Panthers also played really good defense. They were number 4, 4th best defense so far. So it's both. Let's see which defense comes out on top. I don't think stopping Christian McCaffrey is a thing. I think we can just forget about that. Maybe it's from a football standpoint, he won't get a touchdown or he won't get yards. But from fantasy football perspective, it doesn't matter. He'll catch the ball. Catching the ball enough times will make him a viable starter. Also, the Panthers have lost the last 8 of 9 games. So, another reason to go on the New Orleans side.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think there's, like you said, number 1 defense versus number 4 defense, but you have Jameis Winston who played lights out.
Yeah, he didn't even throw like 150 yards, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how
he
many
had
yards.
148 yards
That's
and 5 touchdowns, something like that.
And
Efficient.
no interceptions.
Yep.
So I think
That's the craziest part.
They should be. Well, I'm not sure. The line's at 3 points on this. Favoring the
That's
Saints.
very,
Ooh,
very low. I'm
that
not
is
going to lie.
very
That's
close.
very, very low. The one thing to factor in when we're talking about the top defenses, because it's 1 week, is the Saints played Aaron Rodgers and the Panthers played Zach Wilson.
Right.
Yeah.
So the number 4th ranked for the Panthers, is that really what they are?
No,
the Saints
no.
definitely on paper looked like they could be one of the top
Mhm.
defenses. And so for the Saints to only get 3 points, the Saints historically have not been great on the road, but I felt like that was more of a testament to Drew Brees' record on the road and
Mhm.
how he plays much better at the Dome.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that line is like just putting in its head the fact that the Saints aren't great on the road, but Drew Brees is gone. 3 points, I'm taking the Saints.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a
3
pretty,
points,
Okay.
I'm taking the Saints.
This is a pretty easy decision for me too, but I don't want to downplay the weapons that Carolina has. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, CMC, they're more lethal than people may think. And I never got the hate on Darnold, honestly. I think people were just blinded because he played for the Jets, but this man can do it all. He's a good thrower. he had high hopes coming into the play for the Jets when he was first drafted. People expected him to play well, but it just wasn't working because their offensive line was trash. The man wasn't able to do what he can do. He's a very well-rounded quarterback. He can throw it deep. He's pretty accurate. He can run when it needs to be. If you watch the game last season when he ran for 50-yard touchdown, you can see clear-cut linear speed. So, it's hard to say because it's week 1, right, or week 2. But I think the Carolina Panthers will do okay. I just don't know it'll be enough to beat the Saints.
Yeah. Another thing to watch fantasy-wise, Saints, obviously Kamara's going to do his thing, but where the throw's going to go this week? I know we were high on Callaway coming into the season with Thomas out, and that wasn't the case week 1. So it'll be interesting to see how Jameis spreads the ball around or if he picks favorites. And like you mentioned on the Panthers side, Panthers have a ton of weapons too. So if Darnold can get the ball downfield, who's going to be the benefactor, whether it's Moore or Robbie Anderson? So 2-1-0 opponents, divisional game.
One sleeper pick here for the New Orleans Saints, the tight end, Johnson. Jameis Winston seems to have really good chemistry with him. He's been having really good chemistry with him since preseason. So I think keep an eye out for that. I think you're going to be pretty excited if you go ahead and pick him up if you have some room to, somewhere in the bench. Nothing to drop anybody important for, but keep an eye out because I see some really good chemistry between him and Jameis Winston.
Yeah, something to watch out for. The Minnesota Vikings, that was the last 12 o'clock game, These are going to be the late games. The first late game we have is our Vikings are traveling to Arizona to square off against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. That high-powered offense, that defensive line. On paper, nothing sounds good for the Vikings in this matchup. I don't even know where to start because it is overwhelming.
I found a way to make this sound good.
Wow, let's do it.
Okay, I found a way to make this sound good. I told you guys earlier. I joked saying I don't even want to watch this game, but I had to do the analysis, try to figure out how we can win this game, and I couldn't find one. But I also just dug deep and came up with an idea. So the Cardinals, they seemed really well last week, right? When we watched that game, they were just killing them, right? But they were the 13th best defense, and we were the 15th best, right? So that's not that far from each other. Taking out the outliers of 5 sacks from Chandler Jones, it's pretty similar. 13th and 15th, if you just look at it from rankings perspective, not too far behind. One thing that helps out when you have two defenses playing close games is you need to move the ball downfield. You need to make the right decisions, and I think we have the quarterback to do that. We don't have a quarterback that's erratic. Just a quick Kirk Cousins love here. It's easy to overlook him, but he's the most accurate active quarterback in the NFL. He's the second most accurate quarterback of all time. And before you say he's just a dink and dunker to get the stats up, he actually he has the most 50-yard plus touchdown passes in the last 5 seasons. Rodgers has 9, Cousins has 14. So it's not dinking and dunking. The man's good. He's thrown 25 passes of 20-plus yards out of 100 attempted last season. So, this is an aggressive, deep-throwing quarterback. So if we can just if we can get the ball down deep, be accurate in the middle, I think we can win this game. If the Cardinals defense doesn't murder us, if he doesn't sack us, it's not completely out of line.
Yeah, I am going to say that the Cardinals win this.
Okay.
And the spread is 2.5 points.
Oh, wow. That's close.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's very close.
I'm honestly not understanding any of these lines week 1. Either Vegas really, really wants everybody to gamble and they're just going to screw us all.
Are you on sikids.com getting these lines?
Are you sure you're not looking at the same line and just saying it's for every game that we've talked about so far?
Wow. No, I checked. I've got the right line there. But yeah, I think so Cardinals win this game. What I'm looking at is Christian Kirk. I think that maybe Christian Kirk is a sleeper to start.
Yeah, they got 4 sleepers. I don't know which one to go to.
I mean, with that, Vikings defense and the way Burrow was able to just throw it downfield and get those touchdowns, I think that Christian Kirk could have a good game. He already did have a good game last week, and I know there's a lot of players, but if you don't have good options as far as who to start, Christian Kirk not a bad start.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even think we have to get to Christian Kirk because DeAndre Hopkins is probably going to have 15 catches for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns.
This is a bad secondary.
Patrick Peterson revenge game. He's going to get burned or he's going to get fake injured and get out of the game.
We get the opposite end of the river?
We're the Vikings are never the benefactor of a lot of these things. We already know that. So every aspect I look at this, the matchups aren't in our favor. To hear that the line is only 2.5, clearly Vegas knows something we don't. If you're not a Vikings fan, I feel like as just a bettor, you'd be like, this is a trap line because that doesn't make sense. The Cardinals are at home and getting less than what a home team getting home field advantage would get, which is 3. So if they're getting 2.5, there's clearly something wrong with this, or everybody should put the house on the Cardinals at minus 2.5.
Over under 5 sacks total for the Cardinals.
Oh, over.
So you guys know how many active players have 100+ career sacks?
I don't.
3 players. You know?
Can we guess them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's try to guess them. Active players. Chandler Jones?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one. J.J. Watt?
Yep.
Aaron Donald.
No.
Well, the point here is that 2 of them are playing against us.
Yep, and I guessed them.
Yeah, and then there's one more, which it's pretty easy. It's just think of the best defensive end in football, or barring a few things.
JJ Watt.
Jadeveon Clowney?
Von Miller.
Von. Oh,
Miller.
I see. I always picture him as a linebacker. I know.
He
plays
was
that
hurt.
funky-
He was
yeah.
hurt, so we kind of lost.
Oh,
him.
Vaughn. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we're going against 2 of those guys.
Yep.
So that's gonna be a great. We're gonna be fucked.
Yeah, we've talked about our line improving and then not improving.
No,
and
it
being
actually
bad.
has not improved.
Yeah, and our center was getting blown up. Bradbury was getting blown up all game last game. Again, the Bengals' defensive line is not that great.
No.
So if
Yeah.
we can't protect them, I again, unless we're going to have our running backs stay back and protect, or I just don't know what. I'm interested to see what the game plan is for the Vikings this week that they're presenting to their team and being like, this is our recipe to win. Like, because I'm genuinely curious.
I think we need to abort mission and just jump off ship and just fast forward to next year. I know it's only week 2, but this is not looking good. Nothing's looking good. We lost Kendricks. I mean, Kendricks might still play, but if he doesn't play, that's our captain on our defense.
I'm calling it right now. If Eric Kendricks doesn't play, and the Cardinals don't cover 2.5,
Yeah.
I'll give away something on this podcast next week to somebody that listens.
What are you gonna give away?
I don't know what it is yet. I have no idea what it is yet, but it's
love surprises.
blasphemous to me that even with Kendricks being in, that the line is what it is. And if Eric Kendricks, who we've seen what they look like when he doesn't play in some of these games, that defense, if he's not playing, unless Kyler Murray gets hurt or like an asteroid hits the game and they have to stop it, I don't know how the Cardinals can't win by a field goal. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, man. I think we're just going to have to hope for the best. A good thing, statistically, we are the most aggressively deep offense in the league. Like, we go deep the most. So that's the only hope. We're just going to have to pray and just see what happens. Also, in an IDP league, if Kendricks is out, look at Vigil, Nick Vigil, okay?
Oh, yeah.
He last year he was hurt. The year before that, he had over 100 tackles. So, and he did well. I think he had like 8+ tackles last game for us. And he played almost every snap, I believe, or the same amount of snaps as Kendricks did. So if Kendricks is out, it's going to be payday for Vigil owners. So in an IDP league, which is an independent defensive player league,
Yep.
Go ahead and pick him up.
Yeah, should be interesting. Again, I'm going to be watching with maybe some of my one eye open, one eye closed, just from the terror of what could happen in that game and how it could unfold. But fingers crossed the Vikings prove us wrong, right? That's why we're fans. Moving on, the dumpster fire Atlanta Falcons, who are 0-1, who looked absolutely horrendous, are traveling to the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As lopsided as probably a line we're going to see. I thought this would be the biggest line, but you said the Browns game was bigger.
What line is this?
What is the spread?
10.5.
10.5.
Yeah.
Somebody explain to me, or somebody try to talk sense into me about how the Falcons could even keep this game close, because I'm curious.
So, looking at the first half of the Eagles and the Falcons game, the Falcons came out strong. Like,
did they?
did.
What's considered strong when you put up 6 points the whole game?
Yeah, well, I mean, they had some penalties that they had to kick field goals and things like that. But Calvin Ridley looked good. Mike Davis and Patterson, whenever they Cordell Patterson. Right?
Yeah.
Whenever they got there, they had over 100 yards, I think. Of
Combined,
rushing,
probably.
Combined.
Yeah.
And so that offense didn't look bad I want to say the second quarter.
Yeah.
And then it started going downhill. So I think that if they play like they played in the
Oh,
first
man,
quarter,
you're reaching here, buddy.
This is a reach, man. This is a
I
reach.
You're
think
reaching.
that this could be a trap game.
Are you a closet Falcons fan?
Yeah,
I'm
because
not-
this is ridiculous.
I'm not a closet Falcons fan, but I feel like the Falcons have so much to.
Okay,
prove
well-
here.
well-
28-3, like against.
Yeah, they're not proving
that-
shit.
you know,
Revenge
this
game
is
against Tom
the
Brady.
revenge
Tom Brady
game.
is 8-0 against Atlanta all time. Just
Yeah.
throwing that out there. But yeah, I mean, you never know, right? It's any given Sunday.
Yeah.
It just won't be this Sunday, but we can hope.
I appreciate the
hope.
optimism, right? Because there's going to be very few people on your side of the coin about what the Falcons. And you answered my question because I wanted to hear how the Falcons could win or somehow keep this game close. But I don't see it. Again, we talked from fantasy implications early on. Tampa Bay, I just don't think their offense is going to need to do too much. Like, they're going to pull away one way or the other, special teams, defense, offense, whatever it is, to where I don't know that there's going to be a ton of fantasy points to be had on the offensive side for the Buccaneers, or who's specifically going to be the benefactor.
So if this might help you with that answer. So I just told you Tom Brady is 8-0 against Atlanta all time, right? Antonio Brown averages 113.8 yards per game versus the Falcons, which is most by any player against the Falcons since 1970. So Antonio Brown historically just destroys the Falcons. So maybe, I don't know if that's relatable, but there's a stat for you. So I think, Antonio Brown, you never know. He's probably the best wide receiver of the decade, So he's got the talent, and he did not look like he was declining. So I'm pretty sure Tom Brady's going to try to get the ball in Antonio Brown's hands. And then the other side of the field, I'm pretty sure Ridley's going to have a big game. If there's a game to have a big game, it's this one. Like, how else are you going to score points, Atlanta? How else are you going to score points?
Why didn't Atlanta, when they were down last week a bunch, all of a sudden get garbage points, which should have led to like Ridley having a decent fantasy game? What happened towards the latter part of that game that they didn't do that? Because that's probably the same recipe this game, right? Bucks go up early, Atlanta plays catch up, and then you get Ridley fantasy points, and then he starts throwing more. But that also didn't happen last week, and you talked about how Mike Davis ran it 15 times, even though they were down by like 26
and that's
points.
because the pass protection for Matt Ryan was garbage. Actually, the rookie offensive lineman that starts for that team, he openly said during the draft, he like tweeted or something, he was like, before he knew he was going to be a Falcon, he said something along the lines of, I can block anybody, or something very aggressive. I'll pull that up later, but yeah. And then there's an image with that exact tweet on top, and there's a picture of Matt Ryan laying on the ground like a dead person. And then the offensive lineman that said that is literally just hovering over Matt Ryan. Wow. It's hilarious. Wow. So yeah, the pass protection was garbage, and I assume as an NFL team they would try to do something about that to make to get the ball to Calvin Ridley a little bit easier this week.
Yeah, 32nd in passing. Again, 1 week sample size, but again. I think there's not much optimism on that end. I think the Bucs will cover 10.5. I think it's a big spread, but the other factor when I talk about how there won't be a lot of points to had is what we've seen even last year with Tom Brady and historical Tom Brady teams is he is one of the few guys that tries to go for the jugular. Like he doesn't let his foot off the gas. Obviously, it's going to be a predicament of the play calling, which who knows? Tom Brady probably calls the plays for that offense, to be honest, right? So it's going to be kind of a predicament to how the game unfolds, but it could be 24-0 and Tom Brady could still be airing it out 50 yards. So anything could happen. I just don't think of all of the possibilities, right? Yeah. Doctor Strange looks up 8 million realities of which way they can succeed. The Falcons come up 0. So that's my personal thoughts on that. I think Tampa Bay is going to destroy that game, and I think, like we talked about, after this week will officially be rock bottom for the Falcons. So
damn, I haven't looked at their schedule coming up. I should probably just take a gander. But yeah, they don't look like an NFL team at this moment.
Yeah, there's too many question marks. I don't even know where they could start from, like building, or like if they just need a clean house. It's too many question marks against a team that literally just won the Super Bowl, has Tom Brady, looked even better last week. Back. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a shit show. So let's move right along. The Tennessee Titans have a lot to prove to us after laying a dud week 1. They're 0-1. They're going to be traveling to one of the toughest places to play. They're going to be at Seattle, who is 1-0. Seattle came away with that victory against the Colts. A lot of question marks from week 1 on the Titans, right? Derrick Henry didn't have a great game. Julio Jones didn't catch many passes. A.J. Brown caught a touchdown, but that offense was not what it looked like on paper. On the other side of the coin, the Seahawks pretty much dominated that Colts defense that we thought was going to be decent. So is this going to be a replication of what week 1? What kind of adjustments do we expect the Titans to make, or how can they get a W here?
Derrick Henry needs to get going. Derrick Henry, what did he have, like 58 yards?
Yeah, like 17 carries, 57 yards, 58 yards,
yeah,
something like that.
That's their focal point of that offense. Everything works around Derrick Henry, and if Derrick Henry's not running, they're like a confused child just running around. So here's some I just mentioned that Antonio Brown destroys the Falcons, right? Mm-hmm. Julio Jones has the most receiving yards per game versus the Seahawks in NFL history. So at 129.2, Again, team-wise, like a player versus team stats are very, they're not for sure. If it was like a player versus player, you could bank on it. But, but there's a reason. There's a reason behind all of these statistics. And I tend to favor Julio Jones here because if he was destroying the Seahawks during the Legion of Boom time, they're not the Legion of Boom anymore. Seahawks secondary is the farthest thing from what I'm worried about from the Seahawks. That's like probably one of their weaker points. So I think this is a game that we'll see some Titans stuff happen. What we expected week 1, I think this will happen. I think Seahawks will do Seahawks things. Early MVP candidate Russell Wilson will probably do Russell Wilson things like he always does. Tennessee's defense not the strongest, so I don't see Russell Wilson having too much problem this game. This looks like what's the line in this game?
6.5.
6.5.
So this is Seahawks favored 6.5
at home, probably.
The biggest factor to me in this game is the fact that the Seahawks are at home. I think that, the Titans' recipe for success is pretty obvious. Obviously, we would hope that they change things up and it's not that predictable to where it's just Derrick Henry, play action off of that, because I'm sure that's what every NFL team and coordinator thinks, right? So they're going to have to change things up because clearly that didn't work week 1, and especially when you fall behind early, then you have to completely switch up your game plan. And so if the Seahawks play their offense like they did last week and you see early touchdowns like that, that's going to change the game plan again unless the Titans somehow try to stick with Derrick Henry. So I think it's important that the Titans establish the run early or they go ahead early. Yeah,
so one of the ways to do that is with Derrick Henry, right? And Derrick Henry historically, after subpar games, after sub 100-yard games, he averages 168 yards per game. Wow. So historically, this is the game that would happen. But there's always a but. Seattle allowed just 200-yard rushers since the beginning of last year. That's just the third fewest rush yards allowed. So which is going to give? We'll find out. Stay tuned.
Yeah. This is another really big matchup because I expected the Tennessee Titans to come in here 1-0. Seahawks should have been 1-0, and it should have been a 1-0, 1-0 matchup. So Titans need to get a W under their belt.
I think it's a turnover situation here because both teams are loaded, on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Carson, we don't talk about him much because there's so much other things to talk about. But that man can run. Also, his workout videos, if you guys haven't seen that, it's better than Tyler Heineke's. But yeah, since the beginning of last year, the Seahawks are 13-0 when winning the turnover battle, or even. And, like I said, if you're 13-0 doing that, that's probably their focal point. They just don't turn the ball over. And if the Seattle Seahawks don't turn the ball over, hold Derrick Henry, this is a win for the Seahawks.
Yeah. This is a team that we thought was going to be one of the better offenses.
The Titans? Yeah.
Right. And they're ranked 31st right
now.
So
yeah.
Terrible numbers on the offense. Just you've got so many options, and you're not able to,
feed them,
and it just
I'm not sure what's I think it'll happen. I think they'll feed them this game just because the Seahawks secondary is not their strength. They're good at stopping the run because of Bobby Wagner mainly, and they've always had a pretty good line. So their secondary will get targeted. At least that should be their game plan. I think a lot of Derrick Henry early play actions and attack deep. And that's how you stay competitive with the Seahawks.
This is a knock on Ryan Tannehill, right? Like, this guy was maybe one top 5 quarterbacks last year, maybe top 10.
Maybe I don't know the exact number, but he was good.
He was good. And coming in weak like this on the first week, it's not a good look. Looking for him to bounce back, but we'll see.
One bet that I would be intrigued with that matchup is checking the over/under, just because based on everything we're saying, I think we're expecting points to be scored.
Mm-hmm.
I could see both teams scoring in the 20s, one team maybe in the 30s. Turns into kind of a little bit of a shootout. So whatever the line is, I would lean over.
Speaking of shootouts, our next game.
Yeah, our next game on the board, we have the Dallas Cowboys, 0-1 to start the season. They are going to travel to L.A. to take on the Chargers, who are 1-0. Chargers ended up beating the Redskins last week. The Cowboys lost that crazy Thursday night game against the Bucs. Cowboys offense looked really, really good, right? We talked about the receivers, running back situation a little bit iffy. Dak looked really good. Didn't look like he was coming back from an injury. Chargers, similar. Offense looked good. Running backs looked good. Herbert looked good. I think this game is going to probably come down to a little bit of what defense kind of plays a little bit better. Chargers on paper have a better defense, obviously, and they're at home. So what's the Cowboys' recipe to win this game?
Okay, so I know the Chargers' recipe to win this game.
Let's talk about that first then.
The Chargers' recipe to win this game is to make it a close game. So Chargers have played in 24 one-possession games since 2019, which is the most in the NFL. And it's really hard to keep the Cowboys in a one-possession game because they score so much. So I think if the Chargers defense can hold, the firepower that is the Dallas Cowboys offense, Chargers, we've seen so many highlights of Chargers just giving the games away at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they just focus on that, keep the game close but actually come out on top, take care of Dak, I think that's your recipe.
Yeah, what's the line? A lot of times the line will help dictate how they expect the game to go. So I'm curious if they got to be expecting this to be a close game. I would assume the Chargers are favored being at home.
Yeah,
a little bit of a better defense.
Just looking at all of this with the poor linebackers on the Dallas side, it's just easy game for Eckler.
Chargers are favored by 3.5 points. It's gonna be a tough game for the Cowboys.
It's gonna be a high scoring game. It's gonna be a lot of points this game.
And Chargers had a pretty good defense last week. I know that it was a different quarterback with
Heineke.
Yeah, Heineke, but Fitzmagic isn't a bad quarterback either.
Right.
So I think that their defense. However, the Buccaneers also have one of the best defenses, and they weren't able to stop the Cowboys. So I'm not sure which way I would lean.
What do you think is the way the Cowboys win this game?
Yeah, I think the biggest way the Cowboys are going to win this game is keeping their foot on the gas.
Yeah.
I think what we've seen in the past is the Cowboys used to be like a feed Zeke, because that offensive line was so good, right? Wear down those defenses, control the clock, and the Dak or whatever quarterback just kind of makes the plays he needs to make. I don't think that's the recipe for success anymore. We've seen Zeke. He looks like a shell of himself, and they're involving Tony Pollard a lot more. So I think that Dak needs to – I think they need to be throwing the ball a ton. I think they need to just air it out, and it's going to be a shootout in my opinion. The only problem is going to be if they go pass heavy, turnovers are high risk. And, again, I think that Chargers defense is a little bit underrated and under the radar. I mean, maybe not under the radar because I think they're really good, but I think that's going to be the biggest thing is can the Cowboys score enough, and can the Cowboys even stop the Chargers at all to have a chance to win this game?
So it will be hard to stop them because Herbert leads the league. He's number 2 in attempts over the last year. Since the beginning of last year, he's number 2 in the league in just throwing attempts.
Mm-hmm.
You know who number 1 is?
Dak.
So we're gonna. So just piggybacking on the reason why I think this is gonna be a high-scoring game. These are just throwing quarterbacks. They're gonna score points.
Yep.
And Zeke, he's had fewer than 20 carries in 13 of the last 14 games. So they've given up on that idea of pound it up the middle. This game has shifted. They've understood the assignment. This is a league where you throw to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
West Coast offense can stay over there in the West Coast. I don't know, but you need to throw to win the game, and both of these teams understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, fantasy of note, you have Dak. Dak's obviously going to be started. What's your take on Zeke this week? I mean, people feel you kind of have to start him because he's drafted top 10. His workload is so reduced. The Chargers have a great defense. Is it going to be one of those where you start him by default and you kind of know that you're expecting a little bit of a disappointment, or what's that recipe? I
think it's a little bit of that. I think it's mainly that. So if I have 2 good running backs outside of Zeke, I'm starting those guys in that running back spot. And I'm going to play with the flex spot. I'm going to play because there's a lot of talent out there that you could start on the flex. They don't have to be, there's a reason why fantasy players with good teams don't make it to the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they stick with this idea of I drafted this guy in the first round. I got to play him every week.
Yep, 100%.
That's not how this works, man. That's not how this works. You need to understand the touches. You need to understand how many snaps he's playing. You need to understand the type of offense they're running. You need to understand the weather. You need to understand a lot of things. And just throwing Zeke out there right now, week 2, I don't feel comfortable with that. So if I have to start Zeke, I will. If I traded for Zeke, I might entertain the fact that I might put him on my flex. But I'm going to look deep into my team. And if there's even I can't think of a name off the top of my head, but a startable wide receiver, a number 2 on another team that's been doing pretty well, I might even start them over Zeke this week.
Yeah, I would personally even look at maybe Elijah Mitchell as a possible start over Zeke. That's just my personal opinion. I think what's going to be – you brought up a great point, right? I think a lot of people fall victim to, like you said, drafted this guy early. I had to draft him by default or he fell to me. And now just because of where I drafted him, I have to start him every week. We have a famous saying here, like Uncle Cherian. Shout out to Uncle. We talk about this all the time. You gotta be the ones, right? You gotta be the ones. It's week 2. Your other players in your league will probably laugh at you if you bench Zeke and they're like, oh, what's this guy doing? And you start Elijah Mitchell. But that's those key things are big differences in winning a week or advancing to the next level of fantasy football, guys. I mean, it's really, really important to keep in mind.
Also, don't feel too bad if you start Zeke.
Right.
I said he gets less than 20 carries, but that's not including 19 carries. 19 carries is enough to win fantasy games.
Yep.
So that being said, this isn't the worst day to start Zeke. He's not going against, like, the Chargers defense is pretty good, but they're nothing to be afraid of. It's just the game script does not favor Zeke anymore, and you're just banking on just breaks, for him to just break some long ones.
Yeah. Anything to add to that, Shovit?
Yeah, I'm staying away from Zeke. Zeke and Barkley are very similar.
This year.
You don't know to start. You don't whether or not anyone can have a breakout game, and it may just be like 3 or 4 games this year.
Yeah,
That's it.
At least now, don't go all in on those guys. Because that could be the difference between you losing by 5 or winning by starting somebody else. So just take it easy. Mm-hmm. Don't start players just because you drafted them early. Take it easy. By no means I'm saying bench Zeke, but I am saying look at your bench. There might be
on the side of caution. Yeah.
I mean, Tommy Pollard may have a better.
There may be very, very under the radar, not big name guys that most people haven't heard of that will outperform Zeke in fantasy this week, and you would have had an opportunity to start them whether they were in waivers or on your bench. So something to keep in mind. 2 more games left on the board. Let's get right through them. Sunday night we are going to have a intriguing divisional matchup. The Kansas City Chiefs are facing the Baltimore Ravens.
That's gonna be a game.
Yeah, that's going to be a Sunday Night Football marquee matchup. We talked about the other game being marquee. This is pretty freaking marquee in itself. Yeah, marquee. Give us the marquee.
2 marquee matchups.
I love it. Patrick Mahomes is going to be traveling to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson. Man, so much to like. There's so many fantasy implications. This game, just on paper, as a neutral, non-fantasy fan, a football fan only, is going to be great to watch. Where do we even begin with this one?
We start with Patrick Mahomes.
Always a great place to start.
And we're done because there's nothing to be said. He's going to play amazing. He's the man. And I don't think he fears any defenses. So I don't care what defense you're playing against. You get Patrick Mahomes stings with Patrick Mahomes. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, I guess the biggest concern on the Kansas City team is the running back situation. So if you drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you're monitoring this game very close because it might be time to sell. If he plays a good game, I would actually trade him. If he has a good game, gets a good amount of, let's say he gets not that many carries but scores 2 touchdowns, I am getting rid of him right that moment.
They just don't run the ball enough.
They don't.
They are the recipe that we talked about just now for success, where the rows set up the run. Yeah. So the running back, his HB draws and stuff, all a compliment to the fact that Patrick Mahomes is that offense.
Same with Buffalo. Buffalo does the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, similar. Exactly.
Yeah, this should be an interesting game. However, Lamar Jackson has never beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Damn, what are you doing, Lamar?
Never beat the Kansas City Chiefs?
The only team.
Yeah.
That he hasn't.
That he started against and never beaten.
He's beaten the Vikings? Have we played against Lamar Jackson?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
I don't know, but it's probably just talking about of the teams he's played against. He's only, That makes sense. I mean, the Chiefs are going to be hard to beat every year that Patrick Mahomes is on that roster, right? We know that. And Lamar and Patrick have some kind of rivalry just because they're similar age quarterbacks. Both have won MVPs now, so it's like who's the best? And obviously we all know Patrick's the best, right? I don't think there's any denying that. But I know Lamar also doesn't believe that and has a lot to prove. So I think that is an added value or benefit, it adds some intensity to this game. Not that it really needs it. Again, everything is going to be really, really interesting to watch. Yeah. Running back situation, receiver situation for the Ravens from a fantasy perspective. What are we looking at?
I think they're going to go heavy with Williams again. Yeah. And then I think they're going to complement that with Murray. Yeah. I think we're going to see the same exact script. I think this all relies on that line because it's not like Lamar Jackson can't make throws. He's a great passer. He's a great runner. But that game, he was getting murdered. He had to run around like a chicken with his head cut off. And that you can't win games like that against Kansas City because that equals those type of drives equal punting. If you're running around with a chicken like a chicken with his head cut off, you're not going to score every drive. Whereas on the other side of the field, you have Patrick Mahomes. Even when he is running around like a chicken with his head cut off, he still throws. He still finds Hill down the field 70 yards. He's a pass-first guy, whereas Lamar Jackson's a run-first guy. So Lamar Jackson extends drives with his legs, whereas Patrick Mahomes covers more surface area by throwing the ball. So just by definition, the Chiefs can move down the field faster. They can make more creative plays than what Lamar Jackson does.
Yeah. I just had a weird image of Patrick Mahomes' head being chopped off, and aren't chickens like alive after their head's chopped
Yeah,
off for a certain
yeah.
amount of time? Or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, that happens.
So it's just like Mahomes has his head chopped off, but wait, his head's right there, and he's still looking downfield. He still
Yeah.
finds Tyreek Hill,
Wow.
still scores a touchdown.
He's gonna go down as the greatest
like
of all time.
it's insane. I don't know how anybody stops the Chiefs. Usually when the Chiefs lose, I feel like they beat themselves, right? A lot of times
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, they just kind of didn't play up to their own
Yeah.
par. So again, I have a hard time seeing the Chiefs lose. Obviously, they're going to lose games this year, but it nonetheless should be a great matchup. Anything you want to add?
Know the spread?
Yeah,
4 points.
Chiefs.
Yep.
Yeah. Chiefs at Baltimore, 4-point spread.
Yeah.
I will say in the last couple of years with Mahomes, I have tried to bet the Chiefs a lot. And last year specifically, I would always try to tease the Chiefs down and get them like under 3 points or 7 points. And they were notorious for winning games by 1 or 2 points.
Oh, yeah.
So they love just acting like the other team's involved, not really caring, and then putting their foot on the gas and winning the game barely. That seems like it's been their recipe. So from a betting standpoint, the Chiefs are tough to lay points on. But either way, I think the Chiefs will win the game.
But I mean, if you can tease this and get this to +2, and then take the Chiefs,
Yes,
and
yes.
mix it with something else.
Yeah. There's value there. I think the Chiefs win.
I was gonna mention John Harbaugh is actually 1-5 against Andy Reid all time.
Ooh.
And Mahomes has never lost in September, ever. So, more stats.
Yeah.
They don't mean
As
nothing,
if
but-
Mahomes needs any other stats to benefit him. All he does is get stats that benefit
There's
him.
only one way to beat the Chiefs, and that's cover 3. Don't forget that. Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, this will be a great game to watch. I'm very excited. Sunday night's going to be super fun.
Yeah, I feel bad. I feel a little bad for Jackson, because if the team wasn't so hurt, it would have been a better game.
Mhm.
It would have been much closer. It would have, maybe the line would have been even. I don't know, but there's a lot of things going against Jackson this game.
Yeah. That brings us to the Monday Night Football game, the last game on this week of games. We have the Detroit Lions visiting the Green Bay Packers. It is going to be a divisional matchup. Both teams coming off losses. Aaron Rodgers, again, had an abysmal Week 1 performance. Lions showed some life in the fourth quarter there, putting up some points to make that game close with the 49ers. Monday Night Football, again, primetime, Aaron Rodgers at home at Lambeau. Hard not to like that, despite what we saw Week 1.
Yeah, I think this is a bounce back game from Aaron Rodgers, and he's 6-0 following a loss. So I think that this is going to be a game that he bounces back. The offense will get things rolling. Devontae Adams should get the targets that he needs, and looking to see Green Bay Packers win this game.
Yeah, we're gonna see a very Green Bay Packers game this game. It's against Detroit. Come on, Detroit's like been our little brother. Just come on, go sit down over there, Detroit. What are you doing?
If they're the Vikings' little brother, they're like the Packers' littler brother. Like you can only imagine.
Grandchild.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is, Detroit just doesn't have enough receivers to keep up with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how many times you can throw to the running back and stretch the field. Hawkinson's probably going to have a big game just by default because they need to throw it farther than 5 yards at some point if you're going to beat Aaron Rodgers. So Hawkinson's probably on a really good list of success this week.
So despite the lackluster performance by the Packers last week, the spread is still at 11.5.
Yeah,
favorite.
as it should be.
It makes sense. The Lions have too many question marks. Not a lot of weapons outside the running backs and the tight end, like we talked about. Receiving core is just a big question mark. Defense, non-existent.
Yeah.
And again, the Packers are at home. Lambeau's always a tough place to play.
I have never been so sure about a team winning after getting just destroyed ever in my life. I think this is the most sure I've ever been.
Yeah.
Packers didn't even look like an NFL team last week, but I am so confident they're going to win this
The
week.
Packers can walk up in their sleep and beat the Lions. It's just what we've been seeing for 2 decades.
Come on, we're
now,
Vikings fans. We
What
watch
happens
this.
when they lose?
I mean, if they lose, that'd be insane.
Kudos
right?
to Detroit.
Yeah.
Kudos to Detroit.
It is the NFL.
Yeah.
Anything can happen any week, but
They probably have a better chance of winning than the Falcons, though.
yeah. So I think the Packers should pull away with this one. I think Devontae Adams will get his points. Aaron Jones probably finds the end zone. I think Rodgers will have a Rodgers-esque type day, bounce back like you said. And I think Detroit just by default will have to put up points, just playing catch up. Goff should have some decent stats, probably throw some interceptions, and I think Williams and Swift, as long as they both play because they're both on the injury report, I still think they're fantasy relevant.
Yeah.
As well as Hawkinson.
Agreed.
Yeah. So that is the last game on this weekend's slate of games. Again, jam-packed, a lot of action, a lot to watch out for. What I want to do is we have 2 more segments left. I know we've been running long. I really appreciate you guys sticking it out with us. Shovit, our nerd, our in-office nerd, is going to give us some mind-blowing stats.
mind-blowing stats. So, in terms of that Raiders and Ravens game,
Mm-hmm.
so since Jim Harbaugh was hired in 2007,
Uh-huh.
the Ravens have gone 81-0 in a regular season game where they led by at least 14 points.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Now that streak is
Wow.
broken.
They were 81-0 before that game and they lost.
Dang.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah. So, first stat. Stat number 2. So Russell Wilson and Bakerfield had a
Bakerfield?
Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield had a deep passing
Maker
rate
Bakefield.
of 20%.
Okay.
So, of their throws.
Okay.
20% of them are deep passes.
Right. Mayfield had 17.8 yards per attempt on play action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, just,
Hmm. Look out for some play actions.
Yeah, they are a run-heavy offense that loves to utilize the play action,
Yeah.
and that's why Baker finds people downfield. So, interesting stat.
And last but not least, Kyle Pitts ran around 84% of pass snaps, and 51% came from the slot. So, if you
Wow.
are a Kyle Pitts guy,
So he's not blocking? He's just not.
So
what is he
they're
doing?
literally using him on half of the
receiver?
plays as a slot receiver.
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, he's got the body, he's got
Yeah.
the athleticism for that.
Yeah.
Man, I mean that's a lot to like
51
about
from
it.
the slot. Was there another tight end blocking? Like maybe that's why they lost the game.
Yeah, maybe Pitts needs to be blocking and protecting Matt
Yeah,
Ryan. Be a tight end, Pitts.
Yeah,
They
dude.
didn't draft you as a receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, that does make him very, very fantasy relevant, even
Yeah,
in that lowly
it does.
Falcons
Right,
offense.
right.
Um,
And that's what I've got.
Okay.
Thank you, nerd.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Those are your mind-blowing stats for the week, guys. We want to end the show on what we did last week. We talked about our year-long Survivor league that we're going to do, the three of us. We each had our picks last week. Shishot took the Texans, who beat the Jaguars. I took the Panthers, who beat the Jets. And Shovit took our Vikings, who unfortunately lost to the Bengals in overtime. So both of us are 1-0. Shovit, you're 0-1.
Yeah.
We're picking these kind of off the cuff. I think that just adds an added entertainment aspect to it. So Shishot started first last week. So Shovit, you kick us off. Who is your Survivor pick
So
week 2?
I was down 0-1. I need to come back strong. So I am actually going to pick the Browns against the
All right.
Texans because
All
I
right.
need my points.
I like it. You need a win. You need a dub. So you're going with one of the surefire ones on the board.
Yep.
That is understandable. I like the strategy there, bro. I wasn't going to take the Browns at all. So with my Survivor pick, as I am 1-0, and I cannot take the Carolina Panthers anymore, right?
Mhm.
So the Panthers are out of the equation. Damn it. I really thought they were going to beat the Saints. But no, I am going to let's take a quick glance. Yeah, let's just, I don't want to give away some of these easy teams early. There's some strategy involved here. You know what? Whatever. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the Falcons. Another easy pick on the board.
This
If I
makes it more
somehow
fun.
lose that one, that would be
Oh, this is gonna
ridiculous.
be fun.
But I am going to take Tampa Bay. Let's get a 2-0
I
start
see
to
the
the
strategy
streak.
you're doing here.
Exactly. You're trying to catch me by taking the freebies. I'm going to take the other freebies on the
Yeah,
board.
I'm not gonna get cute here. I'm going New England over New York Jets.
I like it. I like it. So far, we're on the fade the Jets train. So
Yeah, at least this week.
New England is on the road playing at the Jets, so
Yep.
that's something different to look out for. The Browns are at home, and the Tampa Bay's at home. So added factors there. So you have, who are you taking?
I'm taking Cleveland Browns.
You're taking the Cleveland Browns. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you are taking.
I am taking Daniels and Paul's New England Patriots.
Let's go. Those are our week 2 Survivor picks, guys. Again, we're going to do this all year, see who ends up with the best record to end. Just a little fun thing. So that is all we have for you guys for week 2. Again, we really appreciate you guys sticking it through with us. I know this has run long, but hopefully it was really informative. Hopefully this helps you make the decisions you need to win your fantasy leagues, and hopefully you don't go anywhere else for your football news, because there is no better place to go. We are the only playbook, your one-stop shop for all things football. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Adios.